It says you're live. Now, let me see if I can hear that over here or not. Let me see if I'm going to dink around for a couple of minutes when I get more people. All right, so let me mute this. All right, David Brown, greetings. Greetings, my friend. All right. Another Michael, Hissy Cat. All right, here we go. Yep. So I am going to do this for about half an hour to 45 minutes. I definitely want to get done by 4 p.m. my time. It's currently 3:11 p.m. I'm going to discuss channel direction for okay, so I can adjust this here. Discuss the channel direction for 2025, and when we get towards the end of the time, I'm going to do giveaways. No, not at all a good hat for when it's raining. No. So depending on how many people there are, we'll give away 1, 2, or 3 games. The more people there are, the more games we will give away. It'll be free shipping to those in the US or shipping to US address. If you're not shipping to US address, you'd have to be willing to pay full shipping. So we'll go over that again when we get closer to the time to do the giveaways later. Yes, beach in Honolulu. I would like to be able to afford to go to Honolulu to do a live stream from a beach on Honolulu. I do indeed. All right. So I am going to stall for time again for, say, about 1 more minute to give enough time. Hello there, Bob. So we have Charles also. Excellent. All right. If you're there in the chat and you're not a subscriber, you can subscribe, and within 5 minutes, you should then be able to post. I do this to prevent spam dudes from just showing up and trying to spam stuff. I also have the slow mode on. You can't post more than once every 10 seconds. I mean, it's not that limiting, but that prevents someone from just spamming the same thing over and over again. But yeah, we can start. Charles is here. Of course, we can start. Gotta have Charles. So the first thing I want to do, I'm going to be kind of looking away sometime here. Let's see if I change this window, and I can drag this over here a bit so I'm not looking always up in that corner. Oops, that got smaller than I wanted, because I'm going to be looking at the poll results. So I'm not doing this like an OBS or StreamYard. I'm just doing a raw YouTube live stream. So I'm not going to show you things what you can see on my screen, but if you want to go to the community tab, you can watch what I'm doing. Now, I'm not going to be able to see chat while I'm talking about the poll items, so I'll switch back and forth a little bit. Yeah, I'll certainly stay up till midnight for New Year's. Well, I may take a nap first. Being as old as I am, being over 60, sometimes a nap's good. All right. So I'm going to have my attention away from the chat for a little bit as I start to talk about the poll items. So the first thing is there are 4 games that I had people vote on in 4 different categories that I'm adding to my War Room 10-game list for 2025. And the winners are in the Maury Suckling as designer category. The winner is Chancellorsville 1863. So the Civil War went out over Siege of Malta 1565. And those both way kicked the butt over the two American Revolutionary War titles. Those only scored 16% and 10%. If you add the two together, 26, still 8 percentage points behind Siege of Malta. But so we're going to have Chancellorsville, 1863. Okay, I'm going to the next one. I'm going to quickly check chat here. David Poirier from Michigan. Hope I pronounced that correctly. You yell real loudly. I might be able to hear the actual pronunciation, but probably not since I'm in Washington State. All right. The second title was Napoleonics was the category. And by 9 percentage points, Lini from Napoleon's Last Battles has won. The closest runner-up was Richard Berg's Battles of Waterloo, the Quatre Bras scenario. So, yeah, that was 9 percentage points difference. So Lini will be. Todd will be happy to hear that since he's been struggling with trying to figure out the right tactics for the French, how to attack on that stuff. So I will help lend my wisdom from my experience from this particular game system, how to try to milk the system. All right, so back here, no one knows how to pronounce it correctly. Okay, that's good. David P, we'll call you David P. So David, so sometimes, I like to get feedback from the channel, like, let's just throw it up to the users. And other times, I'm going to pick what I'm going to pick. So this particular time, I had already selected some key titles that I'm going to do. I'm going to play a game or two from the Hex Encounter Memory series that I was doing. I'll play, 2 or 3 of those maybe. And I have some other titles that I'm sort of dedicating to particular people. I'm doing one in honor of Mark Ruggiero. I'm doing one for Christopher Press Nanguea because he's been asking for a couple of titles for a while for me to cover. And I'm doing one from Tony's Board Life, something in honor of his recent master's thesis. I'm going to play a game on the topic that he was covering. But besides those, I wanted to get some feedback from people. All right, so the third category was World War I. And boy, this was like total blowout. Death in the Trenches from Compass Games, 53%. The closest next one was 20% for SPI's Soldiers, Tactical Combat 1914 to 1915. That was a 33% margin. So definitely Death in the Trenches. Let's check the chat here. We're still good there. And then the fourth one was World War II, not just World War II, but from MMP's Standard Combat Series. These 4 titles here on this which you can't see unless you're following along. Rostov wins at 35% compared to 27% for Fallschirmjäger, Airborne Assault. At one point, sort of the early mid voting, when there was about 15 votes in, Fallschirmjäger was actually ahead. It's very interesting watching these polls. And I'm the only one, going back and watching them, but watching different titles chase and get ahead, and sometimes it's like surprising that one thing gets ahead early and then boom, gets totally blown away by something else. So that's the 4 games: Rostov, 1941, Death in the Trenches, World War I strategic level game, Lini from Napoleon's Last Battles, and Chancellorsville 1863. Now, I'm probably going to maybe add one runner-up from these. Like I'm going to look at each category and not necessarily just take the second place one, but maybe second or third place and sort of stick them all in my head and figure out which of these extra ones. So if you voted for one of these titles and yours didn't get picked, there's still a chance maybe that I will cover it on my channel in 2025. All right, so let's check the chat again. So, David, about air campaign and naval games. So I am definitely a land combat war gamer, 90%. Now, I have enjoyed some titles on Navy and air, And mostly it was like I really enjoyed a long time ago playing SPI's USN, which is a very high level strategic game, very very old school. But in general, I don't prefer naval and air as much. I did enjoy SPI's Air War, but mostly I liked playing the weird scenarios like where the jet, sending a F4 Phantom up against a dragon or a UFO, because those special units have differing maneuvering rules and things like that. So I've enjoyed some odd, weird air games, but in general, that's not my main focus of playing nor collecting war games. But I do, certain key titles that are like important for certain designers, certain development things. I'll get them anyway. The odds that I'll actually play them are less, but sometimes I want to go and see the systems. And there's some like Mark Herman's, what's it called again? Not War in the Pacific, not Pacific War, but the other one, the card-driven game. That's one that I definitely want to play at some point. All right. So I'm going to look at some of these older poll items here too. Let's see, keep an eye on the time, 3:21, we're doing fine. So one of the questions that I asked was, what's your favorite type of content? And the 4 choices were unboxings, how to plays, playthroughs, and after action reviews or compare and contrast videos put together. These polls on YouTube are dumb because you can only put 4 items in them. That's really silly. By far and away, unboxings were the least favorite, right? Some people might find unboxings useful from time to time, but in general, that's not hardly anyone's favorite content, right? I'm surprised that after action reviews and compare and contrast didn't do better. That's only 10%, between how to plays at 41% and playthroughs at 46%. That's the bulk of the content. People are either wanting to say, hey, I want to know how to play this game, or watch a playthrough of a bit. There are definitely some people that absolutely prefer a review as their main content, but it's a lot less than I thought. So I will still do unboxings. I cut way down the last half of 2024. I'll continue to do them, but again, it'll probably only be maybe only one a month-ish. But often for some games, I'll still do my full how to play playthroughs and after action reviews. But for some, I may skip, the after action review part sometimes. All right, let me check chat here to see how we're doing. Yes, Empire of the Sun, correct, David P. That's the one I was thinking of. My old brain sometimes does not remember these things. EOTS, I should have remembered the initialism for that. Campaign errors. Yeah, I want to play some of those, like the the Storm of Steel, Stuka game, and the one that's been coming out from Lock and Load Publishing for the last couple of years, which is supposed to be shipping now. Some of those I'd like to try. Some of those, and particularly like the Stuka campaigns, interest me a bit. Escape on the Stuka ace at killing tanks. Though, is it Rudel? Was it German ace Rudel? I can't remember. He's sort of an interesting, fascinating character. So continuing back with the polls, I also asked general category that you want to see more of, and of course, war games. You guys out there are, vastly more than 2/3 of you at 72% said war games, 11% said board games, 15% said miniatures and painting, only 2% said role-playing games. So I may, at random in the year, cover 1 or 2 role-playing games, just throwing something out there. I will cover miniatures occasionally. I'm only going to do 1 painting challenge this year in September from Mini Warmutt's channel. I just posted an unboxing of some miniatures I got for Christmas, a grail item for me that I've been searching for that was out of print, that's now back in print. But it'll be mostly war games, and maybe one non-war game board game per quarter, or something like that. I don't know. All right. Checking the chat again. Game book posts. So, David, I will probably do that. What I'm trying to do is I have definitely organizational problems, and I'm making small progress here, finding like, oh, here's all the things in this series, and I've got these together. But sometimes like I got some of these here and some of those there, and I'm trying to find them all and get them together. As I find complete collections of things, I know, this is all I got. It's a collection. I'll do some more of those videos where I cover them. So if I can find my fighting fantasy game books. Now I know I don't have a complete collection of all those, and I don't feel that I need personally a complete collection of all those. But I might say, here's the collection I've got. There's some other ones that you had mentioned in various posts. Like I'd like to remember, which of those Minas Tirith, the Lord of the Ring books and stuff that I have or not. Those Lord of the Ring quests. So I will do throughout this year collection or set oriented presentations. And sometimes it'll be like, here's this publisher of war games, for example. They only put out maybe 5 titles in the 80s. And if I have them all and I find them all together, I might present them, not as an unboxing, but sort of like that. Like, here's a presentation on this thing. Here's the games, maybe open up 1 or 2 or something to look at them so people can see that. So that's some content that I definitely would like to do. All right, so now live streams. Here's another. I just did one in November. Last year I had done one at Christmas time for Christmas, so I didn't really do that. This is post Christmas, but we are, in the giveaways. Assuming you guys stay here, we'll probably give away 1 or 2 if we keep this number up, and they're in Christmas wrapping. So you're not going to be able to tell what you'd get, but you can pick your category if you win. So I'm going to go way back. Not that one. Let's see here. 5 months ago, I posted a poll that I called experimental. And it had some weird letters and symbols on it. And for some reason, this poll back then could have 5 entries. Now, I don't know why I can only create a poll, whether it's a text poll or an image poll. I can only create them with 4 entries now. But I swear, God, it used to be text polls could have 5 and image polls could have 4. But the last time I tried to create a text poll, it only allowed me to do 4. Anyway, so spy nice and good. Yes, that one does sound interesting. So if you bring up the community tab and scroll down to where it says 5 months ago, you can find it. It's got A.B, A.V.B, A dot tilde A arrow B, and tilde paren A dot tilde B paren. And what the heck are you talking about, Meandering Mike? Now, poll tax. Oh, it's a tariff on polls on YouTube. We got a 20% tariff. We're losing one of our poll items. Hey, Demi, good to see you there on the treadmill. That's a good way to get some exercise and watch some streaming. That's actually a good idea. I should do that. I need more exercise. I don't believe in resolutions. My only resolution is I resolve to have no resolutions. I do believe in setting goals, but not to the extent, and I know you're not out there, ID Jester, but ID Jester, the militant goal setter, wants everyone to have goals because you can't accomplish anything without goals. Goals can be too stressful. So sometimes my goal is to relax, right? My wife and I are retired. We want to goof off and have fun. And she's the couch potato. I'm the chair potato. That's our official titles. So back to this poll. If those of you are looking at it, you'll understand, but bear with me. This was an experiment to talk about something, and these are all little parts of symbolic logic. Yes, symbolic logic. Some of you may have taken that in college, some may not. There may be occasionally high schools that might cover symbolic logic, but that's probably a rare thing. the whole impetus is this is I'm going to, in 2025, have some videos on thinking in war games, not thinking about war games. It's actually going to be thinking about games in general, thought processes, how we decide things, how we make decisions. And I wanted to start with something formulaic like symbolic logic, because in puzzle games, you can use some kind of form of deduction or formulaic processing to calculate or determine something. But where I think the thinking is useful is actually in designers writing rules. Okay. Rules need to be clear. Rules need to cover cases. There's different styles of writing rules. Sometimes you tell people, this is what you can do. And sometimes you tell people, this is what you can't do. And usually it's a blend of the both. You're saying you can do these things and you can't do those things. And if something doesn't quite fit, people need to decide how they determine which way to do it. So how you interpret rules and how you understand critical thinking and reasoning and this logic stuff can be important. So those, hey, we got DJ Flippy, we got Kilroy. Excellent, excellent. So I want to quickly explain this poll on the symbolic logically that you said it's an experiment. Like I wanted to see what people would select. Now I figured most war gamers would probably pick the A arrow B because that looks like an attack command or something, right? Like go, charge, assault, whatever. And the other one, A, V, B, I thought maybe A versus B. That V, that's like, A versus B. That was a guess, and it actually turned out to be the case, the top two choices. Well, that's not what they mean. Okay, A dot B dot. Now, there's many different symbols and operators and logic in math, in symbolic logic, and in programming. And depending on the system, it uses different symbols. But in the symbolic logic system I learned, A dot B, it's not multiplication, it's and, A and B. So this statement, A dot B, is true if A is true and B is true. A V B, the V in this case is an or. A V B, that phrase is true if A is true or B is true or both. That's called an inclusive or. All right. May, yes. Jeffy's there. Saluto to you too, Jeffy. All right. So now this is something, this example of if rules say you can do this or you can do that. Do they mean inclusive or exclusive or? Exclusive or means says A or B, but not both. Okay. And so that is a different logical formulation than A or B that's more permissive or promiscuous. The inclusive or can be this one or that one or both, whereas exclusive or. And there's a symbol in programming for XOR. And often it's just X, the letter, not EX, but XOR, XOR for exclusive or. One or the other, but not both. Okay. Now I'm going to skip over the middle one, A dot tilde A, for a second, to the fourth one, A arrow B. This arrow is implies. Different symbolic logic systems use a different symbol, but A implies B. Says if A is true, then B is also true. It's not necessarily a causality, but it's a 100% correlation if you're into statistics, right? A implies B. Now, the ones with the tildes are the two that was less selected. This last one, tilde, paren, A, and tilde B, tilde. The tilde means not, okay? Not, okay? Now, A arrow B is 33% of you voted for it, and tilde, paren, A dot, tilde B, paren, is the same thing logically, okay? The definition of A implies B is, it is not the case A and not B. Did you get that? So if A is true and B is not true, that is not a case where A implies B. So it's a reverse logic that tells you it's not the case that A and not B can be true if you say A implies B. So that's a lot of magic gobbledygook. Mini Warmut Ryan is here. There is going to be a giveaway, guys, so don't disappear. We've got another 10 to 20 minutes that we're going to go. And the more people that are here, we're going to do 1, 2, or 3 giveaways, depending on how we feel. There's Todd. You missed, Todd, the fact that Lini from Napoleon's Last Battles did make it. It was the winner of the poll for the Napoleon stuff. I will be playing it. Nobody talks Tilda like a Mikey. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, interesting. I've never done Minecraft, but yeah. Functional computers using logical operators. Excellent. All right. So one last bit about that thing there, the one in the middle, A and not A. This has a special place in my heart because in the world of symbolic logic, there's different symbolic logic systems. You have certain premises, things that are stated up front, and you use those to apply certain logical rules like modus ponens and modus tollens, and all. They have these funky names. You apply certain things, you do syllogisms, etc., and you prove things. And so that's usually what you do on a test in symbolic logic. Is you've got the system that you're using in the class, and they say, here's this, prove this. So what is A and not A? That's a contradiction. It cannot be true that A and not A. Now, in the real world, where we have fuzzy language and shades of gray, not black and white, you can say, well, sometimes maybe A and not A, because in the language, not A might not mean the same thing as a logical not A. But in symbolic logic, it can never be true that A and not A. And the magic is, if there's a flaw in a symbolic logic system, and you can do it applying the normal rules, and you can prove A and not A. If you have proved A and not A, you can go dot, dot, dot in the triangle, and it's like, this implies anything else. You can prove, once you've proven A and not A, because there's a contradiction, you can now use logical rules to prove anything. That's things that are blatantly false, you can prove them. Prove, quote unquote. So that is the magic of symbolic logic mistake. And so in rules, depending on how you write them, if you write something weird or funky, you can be giving, in a sense, people permission to make up all sorts of stuff. Like, oh, they think it works this way because of this. So you got to be careful how you claim certain rules, and if you're not tight in your language, you can be too permissive. The way, well, A or B, if you mean it to be exclusive. If you don't say that, people will misinterpret. But in this, if you have a contradiction in your rules, it might be such that your whole rule system becomes problematic. So this was a strange delving into this logic process. I will be talking about this in a video in the future, but I'm going to focus on decision-making processes, looking at different ways of deciding, different ways of thinking in war games or board games too. And, how do you approach problems? How do you try to decide? And that relationship with rules. So I'm not sure how fast in 2025 I will get to these segments. I might end up doing only 1 or 2 a year, and I've got at least thoughts on 4 different segments on this, and maybe more as I develop it. But I'm not going to commit to any number other than at least 1 in 2025. So that's all the coverage of there. For those that missed it, I'm going to quickly go back and announce the winners for the Civil War category, or the Maurice Suckling category. Excuse me. The Civil War game Chancellor 1863 was the winner. The Lini, Napoleon's Last Battles from SPI, was the winner for the Napoleon category. World War I, Death of the Trenches, Compass was far and away winner, total blowout. And in the World War II MMP Standard Combat Series category, Rostov 41. So those 4 games will definitely hit the channel in 2025. All right, so we are at 3:40. It is time to give away some games. All right, let me catch up on the chat here. Boom, 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 boom. No one new has piped in. Oh, Charles, yes, you took logic. In my school, back at the University of Washington, it was philosophy 120, but yeah, usually symbolic logic is a freshman level class, and some freshmen can't handle it. It is a little more rigorous sometimes. But yeah, it's not necessarily that difficult, but for some people, it's like, whoa, this is like messing with my brain. Line take, absolutely, David. That's a big pet peeve of mine. Rulebooks must, in my mind, must be vetted by people who had no exposure to your game before. You should never publish your game without having what you think is your final rules being vetted by totally fresh virgin players that have never had any experience with your game. I totally agree. All right, so how many people do we have? What does it tell me over here? Okay, I shrunk this window. I need to make it bigger. So 12 people watching. All right, I think we're going to give away 2 games. All right. I'm going to expand this. Ooh, it's doing funky things. Why did that switch back to top chat instead of live chat? Yeah, I don't have my logic textbook either, Charles. UW, yeah, the UW, University of Washington. That's right. You're like are you in Spokane or Seattle, DJ? I can't remember. I think you're Seattle area now, right? All right. So let's see. I know there's quite a few people here that do miniatures games. We have 3 games. This is a magazine war game. Okay, that's 1 potential prize. This here is a tabletop board game, not a war game, just a fun tabletop game. And this shiny thing, let's see here, is miniatures. This is actually a miniature expansion for a dungeon crawl game. But the miniatures you can use, so even if you don't have the game, you can use the miniatures. These miniatures would be good if you're into fantasy or horror. So that's 3 choices. So what I'm going to do here is so again, let's see. I think most of you are in the U.S. The vast majority. Oh, there's still Micah's. Greetings forever, people. I don't know. Is there anything else new? Okay. So if I was trying to think of something fancy and creative way to do this, but we don't have that much time to do something. So if you want to put your name in for a chance to win a game, and again, if you're in the U.S., I will pay for the shipping. If you have to ship to an address outside the U.S., you will have to pay the whole thing. Oh, thank you, Brian. Yeah, we've surpassed 900. That's why we're celebrating here. It was hovering at the high 800s for a long time, then suddenly it crawled on up pretty fast after that. So that's nice. So I'm gonna write down a number between 1 and 69. course, right? And let's see. No, yes, no, yeah. All right. So put in a number between 1 and 69 inclusive if you want to have a chance to win a game. In the first round, you'll have your choice of any of those 3 categories of games there. And then we'll do another one, and there'll be, you'll be able to decide between the 2 games there. So Charles is at 192. Go for it. So start putting in your things there. Let's see. We'll give it like another 20 to 30 seconds. Anything one. You don't have to tell me until if you win, and then you can decide once you've won. But if you want to put it down now, you could. So see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 13 people watching. So if you're there, I'm going to give it like a minute, because some people sometimes they're behind in the chat. So speed up your chat. If you're hearing this now, put your number in. And good. So far, we don't have anybody who's used the exact same number. All right. All right. So gonna wait here for maybe 15 more seconds. Some people are off their Demi. If you can get off your exercise bike or whatever you were on, you can put in a number. Oh, Joplin 5. That's a new person. Greetings, Joplin 5. All right, I'm counting down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so no one after the done. If you have an entry, that doesn't count. So let's see. None of you we didn't have any people who put in numbers twice, right? Nobody attempting to double dip. That's good. All right. So well, you help me figure it out. I think it's Bob Moriarty, but the number, can you see that? 37. My bad writing with the crappy mechanical pencil. These are not very good. But so 37. Yeah, Bob Moriarty at 34, which is definitely closer to 37 than DJ Flippy's 48. So Bob Moriarty, I do not have your contact information. Hi, Ryan. So you can contact me at my channel email. It's in, if you go to the community tab, you can see the information there. I'll say it out loud. It's Meandering Mike's Man Cave at gmail.com. Meandering Mike's Man Cave. That's all run together at gmail.com. All right. So, Bob, you can email me with your name and address, and we will ship that off probably beginning of next weekish. So we're going to do one more. Oh, Bob, we need you to decide which category do you want, because the next person will only have a choice of 2. Miniature expansion. That's useful for fantasy or horror. So again, small form factor tabletop board game. And war game, magazine game. All right. So which is it, Bob? We need to know before we continue. So, anyone got any good jokes to tell before we hear from Bob? Or you, my old nemesis, Sherlock. All right. Hope he didn't. He signed off to go send an email, and we've not heard from him since. I won. I'm leaving the stream. Well, I don't see an email from him, so he's not 100% on that. Are you there, Bob? We'll give Bob one more minute. If Bob does not reply in one more minute, we're going to let the second person have their choice, and then Bob will have to pick from what's left of that. Time travel joke, but you didn't get it. That's very good. Future response. I really don't get it. Don't make us. I must be dense. All right, I'm going to count down here, Bob. You need to indicate that you're still alive, still there. Otherwise, we're going to give the next person the first choice of the game. How many surrealists does it take to change a light bulb? Purple. All right, you're all confusing me. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so Bob hasn't responded. He hasn't choice. We're going to do this again, and the winner of this next round is going to. So I need to write down another number. So again, the U.S. If you're in the U.S., shipping to U.S. address, free shipping. If you want to participate, but you're not going to be able to ship to U.S. address, you would have to pay full shipping. To some places, it's very expensive. So go ahead and put in your entries again, folks. You may start typing between 1 and 69 inclusive. 1 and 69 inclusive. Okay, so total Mike, this is that a punchline to the joke, or is that your entry? 3. Oh, we have some new people. Jory Sheen. Cardboard Commander is here. Greetings, Cardboard Commander. Let's see, what is this telling me over here? Currently, we're at 16 people, and we should finish within 2 minutes. It's a giveaway, Cardboard Commander. I'm going to start counting down from 15. Starting, hey, Stupid Joe. You have to enter a number between 1 and 69. There's 15 seconds left. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that's done. I'm marking the chat done. No more entries after this. If you put an entry after that, where it says done, doesn't count. So the number that we got is 17, if you can read it. And I think we have someone who actually guessed 17. Dave P. Dave that no one can pronounce correctly. Dave P., you have won. So, Dave P., I do not have your contact information. So, you need to email me at meanderingmikesmancave@gmail.com. You want the war game, the magazine game. This is the prize. So, for our previous winner, Mr. Bob Moriarty. I should write the name down here so I don't have to go and Dave. Wow, all right, so that's it, folks. I'm going to cut it off here within the minute. Thank you for everyone who participated. Some people came late and whatnot, but we talked about the channel direction. We gave away 2 games because I surpassed 900 subscribers. Had a little strange talk about symbolic logic. That's upcoming. Thinking in wargaming, thought process thinking, and things like that. So, Happy New Year. Yes, thank you, Jory. Hey, damn Tim, you came just in time. I'm signing off in like 30 seconds. And but thank you for coming and showing up. You can watch this, later afterwards. It'll be available on, YouTube. It's a live stream. But so if you want to go back and see the information that I talked about the channel and stuff like that. Hi, Ryan. A lot of people just showing up at the end. Happy New Year. All right. Maybe Ryan was here earlier. I don't remember. So I'm going to call it right now. I'm counting down in my head 15 seconds. So again, thank you for all the people that have supported my channel by watching and subscribing and liking and all that stuff, participating in comments and things. Really appreciate it. I really enjoy the community aspect of discussions. So yeah, as Charles said, be safe, everyone. Moderation. Yes, there's jokes. I'll have to go look at that. All right, so signing off now, hitting the end stream button. Ciao. And remember, take care of your games, and they'll take care of you. Ciao.